Yo, what's up, guys? So today we are going to be looking at the card changes to the base set stuff that we kind of knew about a few days ago, but now we actually have the card art. So let's just jump into some of the nerfs and changes going into the set. So we're going to start here. We have Rummagem. So Rummagem lost 2 attack and 1 defense. Everything else is the same. So that's going to be because the Earth Beaters deck that people were playtesting was doing very, very strong. And Rummagem was part of that. So Rummagem at a 4/4 for 1 is good stats with a great ability. And Earth already likes playing Folly Forest. So Rummagem a lot of time was a 5/5 with an insanely strong ability, giving it really strong turn 1 stats and a really strong ability that just kind of could either chain you through more Rummagems for a slower game, could get your Viserys or your Tectorus out faster. So dropping stats is a very good nerf. Will that stop any of the Earth decks? No, because he's still gonna be an enabler to find your. So in like Fruit deck with Lodagon, Jertaya, it's gonna get your fruit stuff. It's gonna get your Jertaya out basically, or rather to your hand. In the beatdown stuff, it's gonna go find you, your Tectorus and your Viserys. They're the ones that are doing most of the work. In your Centaur combo, it's gonna go find you your Sprouty or some other support pieces to work on Centaur. So he's still a great card. Definitely a good nerf. It takes him from like probably an A+ tier to like an A- tier. Like that's how little the impact of the nerf goes, but it does help people respond to the Earth decks better. Next, we have Titanostock at 1/4, so its stats got upped a little bit. Now you can expend an Earth in order to force your opponent to reveal their hand until the end phase. So that's a buff or nerf. I would say it's a buff. So when the card was first revealed or spoiled, it was a 2/5 static. Your opponent plays the hand revealed. That's way too good because at 5 defense, it sticks on the board. Your opponent basically has to spend a turn and a half to 2 turns to get it out. So for almost half the game, you get to know exactly what your opponent has in hand. That was too strong. You also get to see exactly what they're playing face down on their turn, so you know what runes they have in play. Too strong. Then so we reduced the stats down to like 2 defense, and it was too weak because it got blown up too easily. So now it's 1/4, so it got its stats back up. 4 is a very good defensive number, and with Foley and most of the Earth decks, that's kind of like 5 defense. You can expend an Earth to force your opponent to reveal your hand. So now you have to expend an Earth to see your opponent's hand. That's not too big of a cost. I think that's a good trade-off for its new stat line. It's not always, but when you want to see it, like if you're getting ready to do a combo, you can be like, okay, let me see your hand quick. All right, you got nothing cool. Go for your thing. So good change overall. Does this make it more playable, less playable? I think it makes it more playable. I think it'll see a little bit more play, and not just in the 12 Elestral 28 rune deck that just plays Titanostock and waits for answers. So we'll see what it does now. I think it's more of a kind of a one of included in a lot of decks than more so than it used to be. Next we have Emphyrix. Caveat, there's another change that I'll go over at the end of this video going into Emphyrix. But the main point now is when you special cast it, it must be special cast with fire. So no more splashing Emphyrix into every deck that wants to go into a 2 cost, unfortunately. So you're stuck with using it for fire, so you can still use it to get your Blazarus and your Leonite out. That's cool. You're not going to really be able to use it for your Sonic cores anymore, for your Capricles anymore. I think that's a fair change. It's still a great repeated way to get an Celestial on board to ascend off of. It's still a great way to get spirits on board to use like Kinleo and stuff. But it's going to have a little bit more of a restrictive trigger going forward. It's still going to be good, but we'll cover Emphyrix again at the end of the video. Next up, we have Glauby. So Glauby got changed again. New ability. Is this worse or better? I don't know. But what this does do, so its abilities now during your main phase, you can ascend Glauby to Majesty from your hand or deck if it's 3 water enchanted. So This now makes all the 2 cycles in the starter deck series special out their boss in some way, which I like. I also like that this helps the Majesty ramp deck ramp into Majesty much more consistently because we no longer need to have Tadpuff, Poseidon, and Majesty. We can have Tadpuff, Poseidon, and Glauby or Majesty, thus increasing how consistent that combo can be. So now in the, grand scheme of the ramp stuff, you could run like 3 Glauby, 2 Majesty, and try to ramp into it like your Tadpuff and Foamy, stuff like that. That's cool. I like that. I think this is a cool change. Is it better or worse? It's neither here nor there. It's not better than either previous effects, but it does make getting Majesty out more consistent. And Majesty is a very cool protection card that really just needs to dodge Invoke Runes because the only proactive removal. I mean, it needs to dodge poison tipped arrow as well. But if you get Majesty out turn 1, you dodge a poison tipped arrow. Then you just don't attack until you get some board setup, some board presence. So I like to change the Glauby. I like to change because I play the ramp deck. Cool. Next, Jolton. Same card, just got one more attack. This kind of helps the Thunder decks with their attacking. Again, Thunder, the only element without a 5 attacker, which is fine. Everyone's like, oh, why can't Thunder get a 5 attacker too? Every element gets to be a little bit different. Thunder likes to be more stally control, so it doesn't have a 5 attacker, but it's got some great just 1-drop bodies. Almost all of its 1-drops do something very impactful. Whether you get a Stadium, get a Divine Rune, stall your opponent's attacks, find you a card from top of your deck. Very cool stuff. Jolton, 1 attack. It's just nice to have. Krakatuga. Krakatuga's kind of got the Lotagon treatment, where now if you kind of use its namesake card, you get to do something else. So Krakatuga, we all know, is basically Eruption on a stick, but now if you play Eruption, while you're eruptioning on a stick, you also get to target and destroy a card in play. That's really good. Is it going to make Krakatuga this crazy, strong card now? Probably not. If you play Fruit at all, the Lotagon stuff, you'll know that it's a little inconsistent to get the combo card into your hand with no search ability. But it's cool that Krakatuga got buffed. Krakatuga was a little weak. Not terrible, but being in a water fire deck and needing a lot of fire, it made it a little bit rough to use. But now you have a static effect where if you just want an eruption, you can destroy something, and then you can kind of use its ability to eruption. And then maybe board's open to attack for another 2. That could be 8 damage maybe that you open up with Krakatuga. That's cool. I like it. It's a cool change. And we'll see if it sees more play now. I think it will. It's definitely a much more fun card. And it definitely got a huge buff there. Astrabbit. This is the big change that people are waiting for. It now has 5 defense. So again, kind of to make up for the lack of 5 attackers in Thunder, they gave Thunder some more defense stats, some more good ability, stuff like that. 5 defense on Astrabbit is great. Astrabbit is a great card to splash in lots of decks. But now in your mono Thunder stuff like Imperial or just your Thunder Fire Control stuff or your Thunder Wind stuff, having a 5 defense Astrabbit turn 1, really nice. This is a great way to get into your Sonicore, into maybe Gettable, your 2-drop Thunders into your Imperial. You go find it with Astrabbit 2. It makes Thunder stuff really a lot more consistent, and it's very splashable now in other decks. So, in your artifact decks, you splash Sproutier as a, big defense body. Astrabbit kind of is like a Sproutier with a limited search, but you also get to find any card in the top 3 cards of your deck you want. It's a very strong card. Astrabbit is easy A+ tier, super powerful. It was already good and seeing a lot of play, and now it's going to see play in a lot of decks, except maybe not in aggro decks, but basically any mid-range or control deck is going to run this card, I think, which is cool. It's a very good card. I like it, and it's a great change. It really powers up Thunder. And now we're getting to the big 3 changes. Drops of Leaf is now a 2 cost. I like that. I like that a lot. So, Drops of Leaf at 1 was really strong. Now, a lot of people go, but at 1 cost, it's you're not netting any cards, you're just ditching cards. So at one cost, it was a better mulligan. It let you so better mulligan, so it's a one cost mulligan, but it's also a one cost mulligan that you say, I like these three cards, not these two cards. Let me get rid of these two cards and go draw two new ones. It lets you cycle away dead cards in hand. If you draw a bunch of other cards, it lets you see way more cards in your deck. If you need to find an answer, you can just keep digging. Maybe you chain drops Elite together to see like 15 to 20 cards in a turn legitimately. So at two costs, it feels a little bit more difficult to use. But now it's I think it's a lot more balanced now. Now you kind of have to look at it like before it was like you run like 2-3 drops and one nog. Now you kind of run maybe 2 or 3 nogs and one drops. You don't want to run a ton of them now because they do get expensive, and chaining them together does feel rough. So yeah, drops Elite, great change in my opinion. This takes it further away from the maybe this card's too strong to now I think this card is good. It went from like an S plus tier. Everyone thought drops was really strong. Well, most people thought drops was really strong. There's always the naysayers, but this, in my opinion, took it from like an S card to like a B plus. So it's still very good. It's just not as good at two, because going from a one cost to two cost is really impactful. So drops Elite took a step down. I like that change. Next, Shield of Achilles and Poison Tipped Arrow. Now I don't have the updated Poison Tipped Arrow text yet. It's not on the website. But Shield of Achilles is now a one cost rune. Oh no, it got buffed. No, didn't get buffed. So when an opponent with Elestrals declares an attack, you can expend spirits equal to the cost of the Elestral's enchantment cost in order to negate the attack and return it to the hand. So the enchantment cost, if you don't know, is how much it costs to keep something in play or to cast it. So Shield of Achilles here, its enchantment cost is now 1. And then you to expend for its ability the rest of the card to use its ability. Drops Elite, its enchantment cost is 2. All your 3 drops enchantment cost are 3 of that. That's fairly straightforward. It makes a lot of sense in a sense, but not intended. No, I don't even know that's fun. Anyway, it's better. Well, it's worse, but it's no longer meta warping, I don't think. It's still going to see a ton of play. It's still one of the best removals in the game, but now it hurts to use it on a 3-drop because, so if you use it on 1-drop, it's the same old Shield Achilles. Use it on 2-drop, it costs you 3. That's fine. Use it on a 3-drop, you just took 4. You just took 4 spirits to get rid of their 3-drop. So now, if your opponent ramped out a 3-drop, you might net spirits on them, but you're going to take a lot more damage and it's going to feel a lot rougher to use shield. It's still an insanely strong effect, and it still will see tons of play in every deck, but it's a good change. Poison Tipped Arrow does the same thing now, where Poison Tipped Arrow is still a 1 cost to activate, -2 attack, etc. I'll pull it up real quick. There you go. But now the expend spirits equal to the enchantment cost to destroy the Elestral, so same kind of change that Shield got. Again, makes it a lot more rough to feel. Again, you're always netting spirit loss to destroy something with this, so it's going to feel a bit more feel a little bit rougher to use. It's still a great card, still going to see 1 or 2 of in a lot of decks, but it does feel worse to play. And it's a good change. So now that that's over, we're just going to quickly bounce over to Discord, because I want to show you, if you want to keep track of these changelogs as they go, you go into Discord, you can see A-Drive is constantly updating things on the Discord changelog channel. So big update here, look at cards is not the same as search, no longer to reveal the card. So when you're looking at cards with Ash Rabbit, as of 12/12, you no longer need to reveal Ash Rabbit's card. That was a change to the definition of look and search. Fairly straightforward. The Amphrix change I mentioned is here. So when Amphrix is destroyed in battle or by an opponent's card effect, you can expend fire. If you do, during this end phase, you can special cast it. So now it's going to require you to have it be destroyed the turn you want to play. You can't just let it sit in your underworld multiple turns in a row and then go, okay, time to combo off, now I'll go pull it out. So it makes it a little bit more risk reward to cast it at certain times and to play it at certain times. A couple other brief changes. Earth Scout, base promo, Earth Scout, special cast and Earth Scouter's Mongrossi from your hand or deck. I think that added hand. Earthseer 3 attack now. I don't know if that's a typo. I don't know if Earthseer needed the nerf or not. But one thing about all the Cubs is all the Cubs are really strong. Like really strong. No, let me back that. All the Cubs are kind of weaker versions of top tier cards like Viserys. You could kind of say Urzmog is kind of like a weird Tadpuff. Earth Scout's like a limited Foamy. All really strong cards, and these are all weaker versions of them with a payoff of Majursa. Is the payoff good enough? Not at the moment. Maybe in the future. And then the Humbust change is Humbust when an opponent must cast Ruin opponent. An opponent must send top cards from their deck to the underworld. This no longer means in a free-for-all game, it mills everybody out, because in free-for-all, Humbust was actually a danger to the entire board, because you have 3 people casting runes, and it just shredded decks. So it's cool that Dan is looking at some of the multiplayer stuff and saying, people want to play multiplayer games, free-for-all, and this card's insanely busted in free-for-all. Let's just update it. I appreciate that. It's cool that he's looking out for not just the 1v1 formats. That's cool. But yeah, so that's all the buffs and nerfs for today. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one. Peace.